Welcome to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats?
Yes, it did.
I hope you got me something to eat.
Maybe.
Welcome to the after party.
On Tuesday.
Coming to the after party.
Right now.
I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome to the after party. Join us in the after party.
Right now.
Oh, chocolate and gabbing, maybe some microphone gabbing at the after party.
With DJ Eric paging.
We'll have to get Tom to fix that.
The funniest thing about the intro is just saying all of my different names.
It is. It's like it takes me back.
Lockdown, COVID,
I think some of those are from like
19.
2018. I think some of them
Cancel
are like really
culture
old.
was one.
Yeah.
Pagey, Payggee.
Yeah.
I think Ben a couple of times.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's pretty funny.
Felicity Baby, that was one.
I have to say this though. Can you
pretty
imagine how long Tom had to spend looking through to get all that? I mean, that's props to him.
No. Tom's weird. He has like a file just called My Collection, which is just clips.
Okay.
So it really wasn't hard.
All right. Well, then, it is what it is, I guess. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the after party. A couple things. Yes, we are much earlier. I see people talking about that. We're going to be shifting stuff because of the shows coming back in January and February. So the times are going to be shifted. It's going to be early now for the next, or I say early, this is going to be the start time probably for the next maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And then after that, it will shift again. I will give you guys a heads up about it. But we're changing things around because we're not going to be able to do the after party on Tuesday nights anymore. Because if we wait till after Superman and Lois airs, it would be like, 1 a.m. my time because of the West Coast. So it'd be super, super, super late.
It'd literally be the after party because it'd be after midnight.
Yeah, it would be super late. And I don't want to have to stream that late for people on the East Coast. So we'll be moving it to sometime on Wednesday during the mid-afternoon time. It's going to be weird. I know it's an adjustment. It kind of, I realize that people are probably going to be upset about it. But the problem is it just won't be, it's not really an option, to be completely honest. So we'll be putting out videos. Like, I'm pretty sure we'll probably have one review of something up on Tuesday night, and then the next day we'll be able to talk about our stuff on the after party. It'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. I'm doing good. Cyber's doing good as well.
Not asking how I'm going, Zoko. That's fine.
They're not even asking you. They're not even asking
I'm a piece
you.
of shit. I'll just sit here.
How are you, Pagey? How are things down under?
No, it's fine. It's fine. We'll continue.
I didn't ask. It was
Who
the
cares?
chat. Get mad at the chat.
No, I'll just sit here in silence.
Look, Vasily's asking, how are we doing? There you go.
I'm good. No, he's not asking me specifically. No, I'm done.
See?
Bring Ben in.
See? Yeah, guys, the time would be way off for Tuesday nights. But it's good, though, because we're getting Flash and Superman and Lois on the same night. It's a lot of stuff to watch. It's going to be fun. And that gives people who watch on streaming a whole 24 hours to actually get to it. So there we go. There we go.
It's
all good.
Hopefully it's not a disaster. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
We'll see. We got a super chat here from Jordan, who's also a Team Airrick member. Thank you so much. It's a $4.99 super chat. Thank you for the support. He goes, let's just say the Green Arrow and Canaries happens. What would you hope from it? Well, it's funny you asked that question because we have a whole segment dedicated to that will be coming up very soon. So thank you for your super chat. Stick around. We will be talking about it in just a little bit. So
okay, just a quick update.
Yeah,
Eric might have. Okay, so this was the pre-after party. So this is OnlyFans exclusive. So you wouldn't have heard it on this actual stream. I was eating some. Did you hear, Eric? My consuming of the nacho cheese Doritos.
I heard you consuming something, but I did not know.
Okay, I can give my review on them. You know how sometimes you'll buy some chips, mainly Doritos, because they got the seasoning, and they just don't have enough on there. It feels like they've really skimped out on the seasoning on the Doritos. I can confirm this bag of Doritos It's pretty well seasoned. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Well, that's what.
However, it does get 0.5. It could have been a 5 out of 5. It gets 0.5 off because there was a lot of them crushed down the bottom, and I don't remember crushing it.
So is it a would recommend though? Like, is it 4.5?
100% recommend. And also, I need to say, what color do nacho cheese Doritos come in America? Like, what's the bag color?
They're like red and yellow with like an orange on it.
They're completely yellow here with a tinge of orange on the sides. Our red ones are called Cheese Supreme.
Oh, we don't have Cheese Supreme, so
well, you're missing out.
There we go. Silhouetted Animator here with the $2 super chat. Painkiller or Painkiller and the Outsiders. Again, we're going to be talking about that in a bit, but I will say this. It's kind of obvious to me that we're going to be getting a ton of DC TV shows in the next year to 2 years. So I think I
wouldn't mind Painkiller and the Outsiders. However, by the sound of it, I think you'd do season 1 would be mostly himself, and then they'd probably develop into like, obviously they have supporting characters, but it'd be
I wonder if they're going to keep the name of it Painkiller, or if it will be called like the Outsiders and he'll just be the lead character. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, they'd have to choose that quickly.
Painkiller is kind of a weird show title, I think.
It's also, they're only on like episode 2 or 3 of Black Lightning, probably 2 maybe. So it's not like they're filming the episode now. Like, it's episode 7, so they're still like 2, maybe 3 months away from filming that episode.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of time for them to figure that out. Like, I think the episode would be called. It could be called. Usually, whatever the Backdoor Pilot episode's called is what the show is going to be called.
So we'll see. We'll know by then probably what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Gary here with a $1.99 super chat. Is the Flash getting delayed later than February? I have to say, Canada Graphs is not here, but if he was, he could give us an update on the filming schedule. But I don't think so. I think it is definitely going to come out February, the end of February, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Gary with the $1.99 super chat. Are you mad? And if you got something to say, just what? No, not mad. Not mad at all.
For once, I'm not mad. And that could be because of the Doritos.
Yeah.
I don't know if their slogan is "We make you happy," but maybe it is.
Neither one.
Maybe they should make it that way. Maybe they might get more sales.
Yeah, neither one of us are mad. So there you go. Good stuff. All right, let's talk about the first story. This wasn't in the title, but I did want to talk about it a little bit. So the Batman series that's going to be coming to HBO Max is losing its showrunner and executive producer, basically writer, the guy in charge of everything is stepping down. And you've got a little bit more information on this, but I do want to read this briefly. Terrence Winter has stepped down as a writer, executive producer, and showrunner of HBO Max's upcoming Batman drama series over creative differences. Deadline has confirmed. Now, before because I don't know, are we going to talk about what actually happened? Are we going to get into that? Because creative differences to me means it can mean a lot of different things. It's kind of the go-to response you get when someone's it's an easy one. It doesn't put the blame on anybody. It's a very simple, like, we just weren't making it. It wasn't happening or whatever.
The studio people wanted this thing. I was going this way, and we couldn't meet in the middle. So I decided, well, I'll just leave then.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like that's their easy response to it or whatever. But this is going to be based on year 1, whereas the film is based on year 2. So this is year 1 Gotham, when Batman is still a myth. Like, they don't really know who he is. He's a vigilante. It's kind of like the perspective of the police department dealing with a vigilante that they don't know a lot about. That's what the series is supposed to be. So did you want to talk about what actually happened, why he's not part of this property anymore? Or
the news came out. I can't remember if this news came out just before this or just after it. It was one of the two, but they announced it's that show with Alicia Vikander, or whatever her name is, Alicia Vikander, the Tomb Raider girl. And she's on like a Netflix series. It's like an anthology. What's the anthology thing? It's Dial M for Murder. Who writes? Oh, Alfred Hitchcock. Okay.
All right.
So it's like a Alfred Hitchcock anthology show, and he's pretty much all those things for that show. He's the executive producer, showrunner for that show. So I have a feeling he maybe wasn't getting exactly what he wanted, but he would have done this show anyway. But then the other show came along. He probably pitched it, and it got accepted, and it's with Netflix as well. So Netflix is usually pretty. They just let you do what you want to do. Like, they're not really overly hands-on. They just let you do what they
They're
want.
very creator. It's like they focus on letting the creators do what they want.
They just they'll get like the creatives and just let them do what they please. And I guess the only issue would be budget. That's about it.
So the big question is now, what does this mean for the series? Are we going to have a delay? And because they're not even in production yet. So what do you think? We're going to see a big delay? Do you think we're going to see some change? Because here's the problem. The showrunner, he was in control of basically the entire premise of the show, I guess, with the blessing of Warner Brothers. So is this going to be a situation where they're going to have to bring somebody in who's just going to have to adapt? Because if he left, are they going to be allowed to use his stories? Because he was in charge of everything. So
the thing is that he would have been like pretty much so much control. Like I don't think there would have been a ridiculous amount of input by Matt Reeves because he's busy doing the Batman.
Right.
And in regards to when they make this thing, they're gonna have to wait till the Batman is done, most likely, because they're probably using Jeffrey Wright, the guy that plays Commissioner Gordon, and I guess some of the supporting GCPD cast. You would have to assume that though. Like it'd be weird to do a GCPD show and not have the commissioner there.
Yeah, I'm
or
just
the
really
captain,
curious.
whatever it is.
If the showrunner, if Terrence was in charge of everything, I mean, it looks like he was. As the showrunner, he was in charge of just about every aspect of the show. How much of it will have to change contractually for them to move forward? And are they going to still be committed to doing, like, do you think the show is still going to happen now? Do you think they will definitely move forward with
I think it will happen just because it's Batman. If this was like this was like Peacemaker for the Suicide, I don't think they would go on with it. I think if there was issues there, they'd move on. But because it's a Batman-orientated thing, I'd be surprised if it doesn't move forward unless Matt Reeves doesn't want to.
Right.
I think he would have to be like the whole, he'd be the catalyst for whatever happens.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to go forward, we'll go forward and he'll maybe pick someone or someone that's already within Warner Brothers that's a showrunner.
Do you think he would commit to doing it himself after the movie?
No, I don't think he'd do TV. I think he would, because he'd be focused on like post production for Batman. Because they wanted to start this show as soon as possible, but I think they have to wait till that movie at least wraps most people, if just adult in general. Yeah, and he'd want to be focusing on post production. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think we'll hear anything about this for a while, like maybe till early next year. But I don't think it's dead. I think it'll still go ahead.
Well, I think I'm excited to see this, and we'll talk about this a bit more, but like HBO Max, as far as their DC side, we really don't know what level, like, fair enough. Like I've seen some of the other HBO properties, like the science fiction stuff, and they've done a pretty good job, but we're not really sure the style and tone of what they're going to be doing for their DC properties. So I hope that we get something soon, because I guess Justice League will be the first thing that we get, but that's still not totally 100% what we would get from like an HBO Max TV series.
Yeah, because it's done before. Like the only real example is Watchmen,
right?
And that was like really Damon Lindelof, like just doing what he does. Like that's not.
And he's always had a level of quality for his work that kind of speaks for itself. So
yeah, like what you're getting.
Yeah. All right. Before we move into the next topic, we have a super chat from Gary. 19 super chat. Do you think the Flash will go on break after episode 3? Do not think so. But anything could happen. We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, unless again, Canada Graphs is MIA. So if he were here, I would definitely ask him. But yeah, we don't know. He's probably actually out taking photos right now. So
no, I think he's at a Trump rally.
We're not going in that direction at all. If you haven't seen Watchmen yet, check it out. It's actually a really good series. It's pretty dark though. Be ready for some heavy storytelling there. Look, this is Amethyst. I know HBO Max, you need to be on Roku. They've got to deal with Amazon Fire Stick now. I saw that today. But yeah, Roku still not yet. It's really annoying. So
oh, that reminds me.
Yeah.
We're in a bit of a segment here, a bit of a break.
Okay.
Paige's PS5 review.
Is this a flex?
It's a bit of a flex because it's pretty. Are you going to get a next gen console?
I've tried to get a PS5, but they've been out everywhere I've gone. So.
Yeah, I think it's like almost winning the lottery trying to find one now.
Yeah, I'm still looking. We'll see. I'm not paying one of those inflated like scalping.
Oh no! Like I've seen some people like charging like over $1,000 American for it. Like,
not happening.
But it's pretty damn sick. It's as big as you can imagine. It's ridiculous in regards to size.
Is
Like,
it as
look at
big
it.
as the new Steppenwolf? Is it as big as that?
Is it as big as a disappointment? Then maybe it's up there. It's maybe not as big of a disappointment as the new Steppenwolf, but Spider-Man Miles Morales on the new controller. Like, okay, just a demo by Verbals. When you are holding the controller, its new thing gives you like resistance on the trigger buttons on the R2 and L2. So when you swing, it sort of has like a resistance to it. It doesn't just like, press in; it like sort of pressures against you. So it feels like you're pressing down on his like web cartridge and his web shooters. And like when you
there was so much drama about those controllers. So
the DualSense is amazing. The Xbox one does nothing. Apparently, it's just the exact same as it was. But I love the Miles Morales game is awesome. I was gonna get Assassin's Creed, but apparently it's not a go-to unless you love Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll be getting mine sometimes as soon as I can find one. I'll get it. So,
will we get a flex on stream /
we will
live
definitely get a
unboxing?
flex. Yeah, we will do. A live unboxing. I could do that. I don't see why not. Silhouetted Animator with the $2 super chat. Neil Gaiman is really keeping Sandman info secret. I haven't seen anything about this since it was announced. I mean,
I don't know if he's keeping it secret. I think just nothing's happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't even know if this is going to be really different. This is going to be like the Legion show from Marvel, where it's just so different. It's not really going to fit into the puzzle pieces of DC, I don't think. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Anyway, do you want some live ASMR?
No, I do not, but they might want it. There we go. There we go. All right. Should we move into the hot topic? Should we move into that one? Because that's really where we need to go.
Well, it depends which one's the hot topic, because you're very edgy tonight, Eric.
Oh, okay. The hot topic is, let me share the screen here.
Is it War Gods 2.0?
Yes, it is. That is the hot topic. Here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember, if you have a good memory, this is the Steppenwolf from the theatrical cut of Justice League, which
from 3 years ago.
Yes. Okay. It was not received very well for a lot of reasons. But I will say it is still a humanoid. Like, it looks like a person wearing armor, and it's very akin to like more, I guess, of the comic book look of the character, but still not very well done. It wasn't very well done, I don't think, at least in my opinion.
My thoughts around is that they just really ran out of time.
Yeah.
Because there's some shots where he looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's a one, what's the sequence? It's the one where they're in the what is it? It's like where they use the water system, the Gotham water, like the dam, like the dam sequence. Like Aquaman shows up and stops the big wave.
Yeah. When they're under the,
it looks fine in that whole thing. Yeah. So I think that was the time that was the one where they got all the time in the world to do the CGI and the VFX for that, because he looks fine there. But then there's like this on Themyscira where he doesn't look very good. Well,
it's daytime CGI is really like the VFX for the daytime. You've got to be, it has to be perfect, literally perfect for it to work.
Yeah.
Silhouette Animator said they started filming a month ago. I guess he's talking about the Sandman movie. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I haven't seen any news about it. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're probably right. Just they're not really talking about it. So here we go. We got this one, and then this was released via Zack Snyder, which is the quote unquote Snyder cut version of Steppenwolf. I have so many thoughts on this, but
remember when I was saying he looked like a stupid little teddy bear a couple of months ago when they released the first thing? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, because you're wrong if you tell me I'm wrong. His face, it looks like a pug. He looks like a pug.
It's a weird choice.
Looks like his head got hit with a brick.
So this, if you look at it though, the skin of the creature is very similar between the two. Like, they didn't really change the color of the skin at all. Yeah. So he still has almost that like undead looking
head.
Yeah.
Well, they removed the chin. Chinless.
Okay, I'll start out with the positives. There is one positive with this look. And I will say that the idea of this armor that looks like it's going to move and flow sort of like Cyborg's body does. I like that thought. Like I like that concept of it. I just don't know if it looks great in practicality here. And he does look like the one that came out of the deleted stuff that we got, over on BVS and everything.
Yeah.
Outside of that, though, I don't, and people are like, it's not finished. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, how much more do you need to see of this to know whether you like it or not? I feel like you're going to know if you like it or not from this easily. It's not working for me for a lot of reasons. It doesn't feel like it fits for me.
And the thing that's sort of better, like I'm not going to say, I think they're both quite poor. Like, but I think if the theatrical one had more time to actually finish the VFX, it's better than this. And one of my big things is he looks somewhat humanoid, and he looks like he's the same species as Desaad.
Yes,
from Apocalypse, they look like they're the same species. You could argue that like Uxas or Darkseid looks like he's from their species as well. He's just this like developed godlike being, if you want to call it, this more powerful thing or a more evolved version of that species. But that's what I thought when I saw Desaad in the first trailer. I was like, okay, well, that's probably what they're going with Steppenwolf. Was there, because it's important to remember as well, it's not like when Snyder left that they scrapped this one. I don't think people realize Snyder was working with the other version.
Mm-hmm.
So when Snyder, the other one, like this one had been scrapped early on, like Warner Brothers didn't like it. So Snyder working with the other design. So Snyder approved the other design, if not worked on the other design as well, the theatrical one. That's an important thing. If you go look at it, I think on Snyder's, what's that? Vero, however you want to pronounce it. Like
the platform that he is single-handedly keeping in business.
Well, it's pretty much, it may as well just be called Snyder. I don't even know why the only people that use it are Snyder, and like not even like just Snyder followers,
it's like they use it specifically because they're hipsters. Like, oh, I want to use this thing that nobody else is using. It's really stupid.
So there's a lot of misinformation about this thing. Like a lot of people think like they like trash this one like and like threw it away. Snyder was working with the other one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if more time was spent, if they got both of them, if they both got the same amount of time spent on them, because this one's obviously had more time spent on it, it's just not a very good design overall. Mm-hmm. So even when it's finished, it's not going to look amazing.
Right.
I think the theatrical one looks not only more comic accurate, but it probably just looks better in general because it doesn't look
well, I would say this. So for me, I wasn't a big fan of the other version, and I'm not a big fan of this version. So it's just a different version.
Either. I don't think either's like amazing. Right. Or like I don't think you give either of them over like a 6 out of 10.
The only bonus for this one is this armor is consistent with what Cyborg's armor's like, and that's it. That's the only thing.
But the thing I think Snyder said this isn't like his armor isn't made of mother box because he's holding a mother box, but like Cyborg,
but it looks like it is. That's weird. Why would it not be? That's
storyline. Like this armor was made through the mother box, and it makes sense. But they were never in possession of the mother boxes to make that armor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You know what it reminds me of, and I mean, maybe people will get this reference, maybe they won't, but it reminds me of like how 90s comic book characters were designed with like spikes and needles and bags and bolts, and it's got so much going on that it just looks, I think Dara said it's overly designed. I feel like it's too much for me. It's just too much. Again, I don't think it's the worst thing I've seen, but I also don't think it's some like amazing improvement from the one that we got.
If you looked on Twitter today, you would think it's a 10 out of 10 based off some people's reactions.
I know.
When really, I think it's one of those things where people just, that's the thing I'm really curious about with the Snyder Cut is whether people are honest about it. Whether if they like it, they actually say they like it. And if they don't like it, they actually say they don't like it. Because I think you're going to get people who will think it's an 8 out of 10, but are so against what has happened throughout the past couple of years, especially with that fandom, because there was a very toxic side of it that they might have been attacked by them. So they're going to know 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10. Wow, 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, please. Please let this happen. Or there's going to be people that didn't like it and they might have been looking forward to it and go, oh man, this was in like I actually didn't really like it that much. It was very all over the place, whatever it is. And they think it's only like a 6 and they go, okay, I'll give it an 8. Yeah. And I think this is an example of it because there's no way. I'm sorry, nobody. I don't know how you can think this is an amazing thing. I don't know how you can say it's amazing. You can say I like it. You can say you like it more than the other one, which I think fair enough, because that's fair enough. But I think to say this is the best thing that's ever come out, man, this proves why this is going to be so much better.
Yeah.
It'd be like
I actually remember back when we talked about, because if you guys remember, if you've been coming to the after parties, I think like 2 months ago we talked about the first like leaked concept for this, like the look that they were going for.
Yeah, it was like him just standing there or whatever.
And we both agreed that it didn't look great, but everybody kept saying, "Oh, it's amazing! It's amazing!" Like if you've got a personal opinion and you really truly love it, that's fine. But don't act like it's some universally amazing design, because it's not. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I don't think I'm going to like this any more or less than the other one. So for me, it's like, okay, fine. It's a new design or whatever. There's some people that hate it, and I'm not going to say they're wrong, and there's going to be some people that love it, but I do think you're right. There are going to be some people that are just going to defend it because they're in that camp. You know what I mean?
Someone's asking for a comic book.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the most.
Well, there's a couple of different things. There's like the one from like the early New Gods ones with Jack Kirby, where he's like got the green. He's like green.
There's the one from. Let me pull this one up. This is like
the more accurate one is the New 52 one.
Yeah, let me do that. I'm gonna pull that.
That's like what this one. Well, the theatrical one was based off.
Right. Let me do this. Open image up. All right. So we're gonna look at the. Let me go over here and stop this. We're gonna look at the one from the comics that everyone keeps referencing. I think this is the one you're talking about, Paige.
I think it's New 52. Yeah, that's like yeah.
So if you look at this and what we're getting on screen, it's not even remotely the same. I mean, you could argue that the horns are a nod to him, but even so, they're vague. Like there's so many characters with horns on their helmets. You know what I mean? So I mean, I would have much rather seen this version or a variation.
I don't know why this wasn't hard to do. Like, you could have just had a guy on a green screen like this and just made him bigger through CG. Yeah. Like, I don't know why they had to make Steppenwolf CG. Like,
the other character looked like this was from Wonder Woman. Do you remember how he looked at the end of the movie? Like
Ares.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's the same thing. Like, they do too much. Just make a big dude with some armor. Like, why is that so difficult?
Yeah.
So, instead we ended up with what we got. Look, if you guys like that version, okay, great. But I just can't get on board with it being so much better than the one from the theatrical cut. I don't think it's that much better. I think it's a different version. You know what I mean? But anyway, in the chat, give us your score, like 1 to 10. What do you think of the new?
Well, I just wanted to finish off by saying I want to get your thoughts and also everyone's thoughts in the chat. I think with the Snyder Cut, I really have no issues with the story or anything like that because we don't know what it is. But I think one glaring issue is, and I think this is just because of how it's happened and things weren't done. Now they have to do it now, and there's maybe not time or just money allowed. Looking at that trailer, I think CGI is going to be a big issue with this movie. I think there's going to be some sequences which are fine, like that flash sequence that's been shown a couple of times. I think that's going to be fine because I'm guessing that was already done in VFX for the most part. But some of that VFX looked a bit dodgy.
Right.
And I am curious to see how it ends up in the final cut. But then again, apparently there was $70 million given to him. So obviously all wasn't spent on that 5 minute scene.
Someone was saying, I think it was, who was it that said this? I want to say Anthony said that 10 million of it was spent on this redone Steppenwolf. I don't know if that's true or not, but
could have given it to me.
And if I'm
taking that 10 million,
I would have been Anthony. I'm sorry, but that's what I saw. Like earlier, it was like 10 million was going to this.
I would have been Steppenwolf for that 10 million.
So, I mean,
God.
There's Canada Graphs. He showed up. He's half asleep. All right, let's go through these super chats. Try and knock these out. Gary Gamma with the 199 super chat. He goes, "Do you think the shows will come back in fall 2020?" Yes, absolutely. I don't think there's any reason to suspect they will not. Thank you for your super chat, Gary. Gamerman, $2 super chat, and a Team Airrick member. Thank you so much. Did you find Oliver Queen's death disappointing? This is a kind of out of left field question. I mean, I think I remember being pretty annoyed with how it happened on the show, but I also agreed that where it happened, it had to happen. Isn't that kind of where we were on that? Like it could have been better.
The episode 1 or the Spectre one?
Yeah, I don't know. If you're talking about the episode 1, then I realized why it happened where it did. Still disappointing, still sucked. As far as him being the Spectre and sacrificing himself or whatever, I knew that was what was going to happen, so I'd already sort of accepted that. So what about you? Any thoughts on that?
I'm just laughing at people reacting to the whole 10 million on Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I just know that was what I saw.
If that's the case, then that's yeeks from me.
We had a couple super chats here that vanished through StreamYard. Let me scroll back up.
They vanished like that 10 million from.
I guess.
One of me was like, "Where did that go?" Oh crap!
All right, we're gonna do this one here. This is from John Snow. It's a $10 super chat. Let me go ahead and share this one here through the chat.
This will be epic. This will be epic.
Because with the announcement of the new Wonder Girl show, could we see Wonder Woman eventually in season 2, similar to Supergirl with Superman? That's if it gets picked up, and it hasn't been already. Well, thank you for the $10 super chat. I don't think we're going to see an on-screen Wonder Woman. I think this is going to be completely separate from the classic Wonder Woman. But we'll talk more about that in a moment. Quickly though, because I'm not ignoring your super chat. We have a whole thing dedicated to that. We'll get into that. But just right off the cuff, what do you think about this? Do you think we'd see like Wonder Woman in the on the CW? I just don't think we will.
I don't know if we'd see her. It wouldn't surprise me if she's referenced. It depends, like what the thing is, because I think the show will start on Themyscira. Oh no, sorry. I think the show will not start in Themyscira, but it will build up to that. So there could be potentially Wonder Woman, or just a major reference to her, and maybe we meet someone like Hippolyta or something like that. Yeah, but I guess we'll talk about it when we get to the Wonder Girl stuff. In regards to
I highly doubt we're going to see Wonder Woman on the CW, but we'll see how it goes. 3W Productions with a $1 super chat, just supporting the channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. John Snow Rules with a $2 super chat. Do you think that Wonder Girl will be the last show announced? No. Well, I mean, for the next season, probably, because we do have 2 shows to talk about. But I don't think it's the last Arrowverse show. What do you think? I think we're going to get eventually more spinoffs, especially if Legends goes away.
Yeah, it just depends. Like, they're probably getting stuff every year. I reckon, like, every single year that goes past, they probably get 3 or 4 DC shows that show up that are potentially in development. So, yeah.
All right.
That they might or might not do.
Let's see. Do we have another super chat? Or was that? Yes, we had one. I think we had one more here. Let's see. Silhouette Animator with the $2 super chat. That Wonder Woman mentioned in Batman, though. Yeah, I think that it's totally believable that Wonder Woman will get name dropped. But I don't know if we're going to actually see her. We may see her in her secret identity, but I don't know if we're going to, like we did with Bruce Wayne over on Batwoman. But we'll see. We'll see. Oh, wow. Okay, so Flashpoint Wolf here with a $50 super chat. Holy crap. Thank you so much, Flashpoint Wolf. Very much appreciated. I definitely need it now since I am, once again, a full-time YouTuber. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but did you ever release that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. retrospective? I remember waiting for it a while, but I don't believe I saw it. So the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. retrospective, if I remember correctly, people were requesting that I do like a full series retrospective or like an overview of the series. And I mean, I would still do it. When I mentioned it, there wasn't a lot of interest in it. I didn't see a lot of people asking for it. And part of that has to do, honestly, with the fact that I think Marvel content on my channel, like specifically Marvel content, just doesn't actually circulate as well as the other stuff. Now, Paigey, would you say that's because of my channel being basically like DC content, or is that just a algorithm thing with the way stuff is recommended when it comes to like stuff like that?
It's a mixture of just like algorithm, like whether YouTube gives you a go. Like this thing, I've said this before, like whether you are a channel that's been going for a while and you're on like whether it's like 10, 15, 25, 50,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, 500,000, it's up to YouTube whether your video gets out there and gets views. Yeah. So whether they go, oh, okay, let's go. Here you go, get some views. It's up to YouTube.
Right.
Like, so if YouTube wanted to spread certain things, it's there, but then like the algorithm gets chucked in there in regards to whether people watched it before and stuff.
Yeah, it's just really tough for me to gauge like the viability of doing something like that when I don't know for sure. YouTube is known for not being transparent about stuff, so it's not a big surprise.
They constantly change their formula and the way they do things and everything. So,
but look, here's the thing: I would love to do it. I loved Agents of Shield. It was probably always in my top 3 of superhero shows whenever it was on the air.
Well, let's be honest. If Green Arrow and the Canaries got confirmed to drop out,
that's funny because we're going to be talking about that in a moment. So
hopefully only for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, not very much though. But yeah, you guys just have to let me know if you would like for me to do an Agents of Shield retrospective. Just drop it in the chat now. Let me know here, and I'll probably put up something on my community tab to see if people still want me to do it. The show is still sort of in the air, but I think as time goes on, it's going to be one of those things where I'll have to put it out, and then people will just have to enjoy whenever I get it done. Because a retrospective of a series would probably be quite a long video. So anyway, thank you again for the super chat. And I definitely will consider putting something like that together. I think we have one more super chat, and then we are going to do Pagey's pick if you still have one.
Oh, I've got it.
Okay. Gamerman with the $2 super chat. Did you find Terminator? This is again, I love these random questions. This is so just out there. Did you find Terminator Dark Fate disappointing? So have you seen this, the latest Terminator movie?
Yeah, I went and saw it with my mom like the day it came out.
Okay.
Because she wanted to see it.
All right. I've seen it probably 3 times now since it's been on home, out on Hulu or whatever. Before I give my opinion, what did you think of it? Because I think people may not agree with my thoughts. So
I thought it was the best of the sequels to Terminator 2.
Okay. And that's it. Nothing else to add there.
That was my phone going off saying what's doing.
Yeah, it's probably
anyway,
that your Xbox is in. You have to go pick up your second console.
No. By the way, I canceled my pre-order on the Xbox because I thought there's no games out. There's no point in me getting both at the moment. So I'll just get this. And lucky I didn't, because apparently the Xbox was having issues. Apparently it was sending a woodpecker half the time or something like that.
Yeah, well, and also the fact that you can play most of those games on your computer anyway. So
the Game Pass. Yeah.
So I actually enjoyed Terminator Dark Fate. I think the problem with that movie, and we'll get into this when we get to Wonder Girl, because I think it does fall into that, is you have a lot of people who are much older who loved the classic Terminator series. And they've tried to sort of do different things with it over the years, and they haven't quite nailed it. And there's a lot of people that complain about the timeline and changing this and that and the other. It's a time travel story. We don't really understand the dynamics of time travel. So just like with Legends, it's hard to nail it down unless the show gives you a specific way that time travel works or doesn't work. So I don't really care too much about that. So going to this movie, I just wanted to be entertained. And I thought it was an entertaining movie, just like with Suicide Squad. I think of it as like a popcorn flick. It's fine. It's not the worst thing I've seen. I'm not going to recommend it to a bunch of people, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good for a popcorn flick. And that's kind of where I stand on that. So thank you guys for those super chats. We're going to get into Pagey's pick. And then, of course, the shout out to my Team Airrick members. So what is Pagey's pick? What is your pick?
Well, I have 2, but I'll leave one till next week, so it's already prepared. So this is a short one. Pagey's pick, aka War Gods 2.0 pick of the week. This is the top 5 djairrick stream moments.
Go ahead.
In no particular order, unless maybe there is a particular order. Who knows? Number 5, the twerk. It was an interesting time. May have scarred some people, but I think it deserves to be in that top 5. Number 4, a thing that we haven't heard for a while. Maybe it's coming back. Who knows? The positive review. It was a well-liked segment. Was it liked more than Pagey's pick? Who knows? That's up for debate. Maybe it could be a positive review, positive debate about it. Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, I think positive debate deserves to be there. Number 3, the chicken salt experience / immersion. I think that definitely deserves to be up there. I think Eric transcended into another heavenly dimension during that segment. It was interesting. Will we get another somewhat transcendent experience soon? Who knows? 2021 could hold many, many things. Number 2, microphone foreplay. It was an interesting time. Luckily, I used certain vocabulary that did not get the stream demonetized,
Right.
unless that vocabulary and word choice will get the stream demonetized. Once again, that's up for debate. Interesting time. It's in the intro, obviously. So yeah. And number one, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, the chalk. The dance that's swept the nation, not only the nation, the world, thanks to the internet. It is now a GIF. All you type in is Airrick on Giphy or Twitter, the GIF section.
That's the first one.
And there you go. It's there forever. Wouldn't say it's a highlight for your life, but it's definitely a highlight for our lives.
It took on a life of its own, I think. The chalk there.
Yes.
So.
It might play at your funeral. I might have to turn up and play there. And and everyone in the we'll call it an audience. I don't know if we'll call it the mourners, but the audience will chalk in grief.
Okay.
/ remembrance.
There we go.
We will not chalk on your grave.
The chalk. You know, somebody told me that I should release some official chalk merchandise, so we might have to be doing that soon. So
please get the spelling right. That's all I beg of you. Please get
the
spelling
chalk,
right.
the choke, the chick, the cock.
Yeah, you went there. For once, you've heard it here, people.
Yeah. For
once, I'm not the one getting the stream demonetized.
I know. Yeah, it's been misspelled in so many colorful ways.
Hey, hold on. Just taking out the twerk. Number 5, Eric gets the stream demonetized himself. That's now the new number 5. So no more twerk.
I was talking about the misspelling of the word. They surely aren't going to demonetize me for that, right?
Well, they'll demonetize you for anything. Let's be completely honest.
So with that being said, it's time to do what I kind of trolled Paigey with a minute ago, the Team Airrick membership shout out. We're going to do that, and then we will be back with the next 2 topics that we're going to be talking about. Well, actually, one major topic and one tiny topic. So here we go. There we go. I actually got it to fade out at the end instead of just stopping like it normally does. So anyway, that was for all my Team Airrick members. Thank you guys for the support. If you did not see your name in that, it's because you signed up after I made the videos. Because I have to do them before the streams. So if you signed up after that, I do apologize. Silhouetted Animator with the $2 super chat. You have HBO Max. Yes, I actually have HBO Max. I think in Australia, is it HBO Max or is it something else that you have to watch?
Well, it's called Binge here, but it's weird. Like Binge is owned by Foxtel, which is owned by like Rupert Murdoch. So hashtag Fox News. So it's like it's where like the Arrowverse shows are on Foxtel for the most part, except Black Lightning. That's the only one that's not on there. So they have they launched a streaming service called Binge, and it pretty much has all the HBO stuff because that's on Foxtel normally, and most of the HBO Max stuff. But there's things that are weird, like that Anna Kendrick Love Life show went to another one, and that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion is going to another streaming service in Australia. So they get about like 90-95% of it, but then some random little things go to other streaming services. I have no idea where the Snyder Cut's going to go. I would assume Binge. I would assume that, but who knows? It's a wait and see. But
yeah, speaking of the Snyder Cut, we didn't talk about this when we were talking about the design or whatever. But a couple of things that he said recently is he wanted to see a black and white version, and he wants to see the Snyder Cut go to theaters. What do you think about those two statements?
The black and white cut, from what I know, from what I've like read and stuff, is that when he was the only footage he was able to get when he left the project was in black and white.
Right.
So that's why he wants to do black and white, because it's literally the movie he cut, like the hashtag quote unquote Snyder Cut that he made.
Like the real Snyder Cut, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the proof of concept was all in black and white. So that's why he wants to release it in black and white. However, I think it's stupid because it's meant to be a colorful movie.
Yeah.
Like you have, then again, Superman's in a black and white
Batman movie. Like I could see a Batman movie in black.
Like, yeah, because that's like a noir sort of thing, or even something like that. But apparently that's why he wants to release it in black and white. But I think that's going to be maybe like it wouldn't surprise me too much if they ever released it on like a Blu-ray or something. You could get, or there's like an option to watch it in black and white, like Logan or something like that. In regards to it being released in cinemas, I don't understand the point, because it won't go to cinemas till like a month, if not 3 months or something after HBO Max. Because surely HBO Max will be like, oh no, we'll keep it for exclusive to us for a bit, because so we can drive the subscriber numbers. Because it's important to remember that's why they're doing it. It's to drive up their subscriber numbers and hopefully keep a good amount of them there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
To make them like a appealing streaming service.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to necessarily money, they won't make that much money from the box office thing.
Yeah,
and theaters would take a cut and everything like that. So I don't know. And also, like, because it'd be all these other movies. Like, there's going to be a stampede of movies coming out next year. Like,
I know. The more movies keep pushing themselves back, the worse it's going to be.
Like, if you're like a consumer and there's all these movies coming out, would you pay like 20, 25? Because I think he said IMAX, so like maybe $30 to go see it in IMAX when you've watched it already like 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 times, depending on how much you like the movie, or even if it was just once on HBO Max or whatever streaming service or wherever you watched it. I don't understand. I don't think it would make that much money. It'd be like Die Hards, and I don't know how much. I don't know if
it'd also be a 4-hour movie, though, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, I think he said he'd release it in 2. I think he said it. Like, I think he said something about like in 2017 he would have released it in 2 over 2 months, which one of the stupidest things I've ever actually read. I don't even know why that was actually even thought of. But I think in IMAX there would be like a part 1 and a part 2. So I guess you would, or there'd be an intermission.
Yeah,
that's the other option. Like what's Gone to the Wind? Like, isn't that like 3.5 hours?
So, but here's the problem with that.
One with the Wind.
It's been proven that for the most part, theaters don't like movies that are that long because it cuts into their money.
But I think this is specifically IMAX. It wouldn't go to like a normal thing. I think it's specifically IMAX theaters.
Yeah.
So maybe that's different.
Yeah, 2 hours and 30 minutes of new footage actually is what he said recently. So thank you for becoming a member, Flashpoint Wolf. I appreciate it. And yeah, you should see your name in the video next week. So there you go. Thank you so much. We had a couple interesting comments here about theaters being closed and stuff like that. I think he's talking like,
it'd be like
May
or June next year, like around that time. Because you got to remember, it's got to be a month after it premieres at minimum.
Yeah,
and even though I don't think HBO Max would be pushing it to go anywhere, or Warner Media, it had to be like HBO Max is the home. I mean,
let's be honest here. We talked about this back in the day when we first heard the announcement for this. HBO Max is doing this to drive up subscriber numbers. So putting it in theaters would literally be like shooting themselves in the
head. I think the only place it could go in theaters is places where there's just no streaming service to sell it to, because they're not going to sell it to Netflix. So if you live in like some European country or some Asian country or anything like, or even like a South American country, which won't have HBO Max and might not have a streaming service that Warner Media can sell the product to, because they're not going to sell it to Netflix, as I said, then maybe you could go to cinemas there. Or it's just going to be this thing, well, yeah, I guess you're going to have to torrent it or wait until it's available somewhere. So that's the option. And I don't know if they're going to spend too much money on like rolling it out worldwide in certain theaters around the world, but who knows what they'll do.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and we're going to talk a bit about the show that everybody's been asking about. It's just the hottest conversation on the internet. And that is Green Arrow and the Canaries. Green Arrow and the Canaries. So the only reason I'm even sharing this is because I found it to be a funny thing for her to respond to, but it also confirms sort of that the show's not really being developed at the moment. So random dude, just hilarious name, says, "Is it? It's so weird. Did she set up this question herself? Is it true that it was you pulled out of Green Arrow and the Canaries because you wanted more screen time? Just saw that on Reddit, and we've been talking about this for a while." And then she responds with, "Absolutely not. There's no truth to that. Thank you for clarifying with me." Which, by the way, this can't be the first time that she's heard this, but okay. She goes, "I wouldn't want anyone to think that. I would love nothing more than to play Mia again." That was her response to that. So this pretty much confirms that the show's not even a drop in the bucket right now. You know what I mean?
Not even this. So people are like, "Oh my god, this means that it's still on the table." It's like, no, it actually sort of means not the complete opposite, but it's sort of like the other way around.
Right.
All she's saying in that tweet is no, that's not the reason I'm not doing the show anymore.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what she's saying there.
So
I saw someone tweeting me. I was like, oh, look, she's still doing it. She's still doing it. I'm like,
I mean, basically, she's just covering her own ass with that. That's all that is, really. I mean,
she's pretty much saying, no, that's not the reason I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what she's saying there.
But I mean, it just seems to me like, and when we talk about this next topic, it will sort of explain why, at least why I feel strongly this is not going to happen. Is there's a couple reasons. Number one, Guggenheim's not associated really anymore, and that was kind of his baby. And so it's gone. The one thing that I really think is a huge disappointment is how much time they spent in the last season of Arrow setting this series up. Because now that it's not happening, if you go back and you watch the last season of Arrow, it feels really weird. Like,
oh yeah, like I think I've said this before. I know I have. The only reason I would somewhat want this show to happen, even though I think it's the most unnecessary. Actually, I'll finish this off. Even though I think it's the most unnecessary spin-off possible from any of these shows, is because they wasted Arrow season 8 on it.
Right.
Like, they spent half of Arrow season 8 focusing on setting this up, and it'd be really triggering if that was all for nothing. However, I've seen so many people say, and we're obviously going to jump into the other spin-offs, saying, oh, they're making Superman and Lois, or they're making this Painkiller spin-off, or they're doing Wonder Girl. These are unnecessary spin-offs. Hello? Are you there? Is anyone up there? Brain, are you there? This is the most unnecessary spin-off of all time. It's literally Arrow 2.0 with a female Green Arrow. That's literally what it is. Superman and Lois is completely different than anything we've seen.
And by the way, basically the same team that Arrow had, because
it's the same formation, same city. Hello? Knock, knock. Oh, it's empty. All I'm hearing is echoes, because there's nothing up there from people that are saying it's everything else is unnecessary spin-off. So stupid. I know not everyone's up there. Not everyone's got it going, but seriously.
Amethyst here with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Amethyst, and a Team Airrick member. And she's been around since the beginning. 2 Roku TVs. I'm paying for HBO Max. Can I put a Fire Stick on a different port now, or new TV? So if you have your Fire Stick and you have an HDMI on either of your Roku televisions, you should be able to just plug it into one of those. Now, I don't know what else you might have plugged in. I have is this a flex? I have 4 things plugged in to my TV. So I guess that could be a flex.
Serious.
I don't know.
You said you weren't going to flex this stream.
I don't know.
See, you've got all these shiny lights in the background, and now you're bringing out that.
It's a flex.
Now you're bringing out that.
No,
thank God, thank Bebo, thank Jesus that the lava lamp isn't out. Otherwise, it'd be the ultimate flex. And I think we'd have don't touch it. They have to end the stream.
It's not in frame.
Don't.
But anyway, so
get your hand away from it.
No, Amethyst, you should be able to put your Roku stick with your into your or your Fire Stick into your Roku television. You should be good with that. All right, so if you don't game, you should have plenty of free ports on your TV, I think. So here we are. Was that
hashtag?
So here we go. This is kind of the big story, and we're also going to talk a bit about the Black Lightning spinoff. But we did a video. Both of us did videos on this yesterday, and I mean, this seems to be pretty controversial, and I'm actually kind of shocked that it is. I've seen so much negativity surrounding the concept of this series, and I'm not sure if it's because it's a female character, although Wonder Woman's a female character. I mean, because she's a Latina, maybe because it's not Donna Troy. I'm not really sure what all the drama is around it. I've seen a lot of complaints about it. But to me, when I saw this announcement, although I didn't expect this announcement, it makes sense for the CW, right? I mean, for me, I think it makes sense. What are your thoughts on it now that you've had some time to sort of take all this in with this Wonder Girl series?
Say that again.
What are your thoughts now that you've had some time to take this in a little bit with the series? How do you feel about it? Are you excited about this? I mean, what did you think about it when you first heard the news?
I'm excited. It caught me off guard. It was very unexpected just because of the character they're doing. They were doing Cassie, what's her last name? The Cassie Wonder Girl, Cassie Sand. whatever it is, having a brain fart. Anyway, if they're doing that one, they'll be okay because there's history in the comics there. But this character doesn't even really exist yet in the comics yet. Like she's going to exist early next year. So that's why it was so unexpected. And I do have my thoughts as to why this is happening.
Okay. All right.
But I was saying this with the Batwoman. I think you might remember. I remember maybe people in the chat would as well. Sandsmark. Isn't it Sandsmark or is it Sandmark? Whatever it is. Anyway, getting off track. But when they were doing or recasting Batwoman, I thought that they were going to cast a Latina in the role and with this new character because it was.
I remember you saying that. That was the conversation we had pretty much like every time.
That was what like my prediction, if you want to call, is okay. Well, they'll probably go with a Latina lead, because if they were going to cast someone white again, they would have just recast Kate Kane. But obviously, they wanted to diversify, so I thought they'll go Latina because there's no Latina leads. But then obviously they cast Javicia Leslie, so I was a black lead again there. So I was like, okay, that's interesting, but maybe this explains why, because they were going to do this.
So are you thinking that
they wanted this to be like the landmark thing? It's like a new character, and this is the first Latina lead and everything.
So you're thinking this was sort of bubbling in the background while they were casting Batwoman, basically?
It wouldn't surprise me, even whether it was Wonder Girl specifically, or they were just looking for a character of Latina heritage, or who could be a Latina lead on a show, and they didn't want it to be the recast, and that to be like the monumental moment. You know what I mean? So if it's just their own show from the beginning, everything like that, that's why the first Latina lead is here, which makes sense to me. And then obviously, and maybe that could have been the influence which led to this character being in the comics. Who knows? Like, I'd be interested to see like the timeline and everything in regards to when all this happened, because obviously it doesn't exist yet in the comics.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever get that information, because that does sound quite a bit interesting to see. How
well, my thought around it is that because a character that hasn't yet to appear in the show, in the comics yet, and is going to be getting a show dedicated to them with a complete origin and backstory and everything like that, I am curious, and I think that maybe AT&T push this and WB with DC to make this character into the comics, so then they can make the show around it, which isn't a bad thing, because obviously there might not be.
Well, we've seen stuff
show
like that
a character they
there have
want to
been
tap
characters
into
that have been created for that reason before. This is the first time that's happened. So
that wouldn't surprise me too much. And obviously, when she was announced, she was definitely, I'd say, probably the most popular of the Future State characters that showed up, like the new ones, because obviously, like there's some already existing characters that are going to be taking new mantles, like Batman and stuff, and Superman. But she was a completely new character becoming Wonder Woman for Future State, and she was definitely one of the well, if not the most popular new character.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Talk, she's not Mexican, Brazilian.
Anthony here, could they do the pilot episode on the Flash Supergirl? So I think if they do it, I mean, I don't know, they may just release it without a backdoor pilot, which I think would be the smart thing to do with this character. She might show up like on an episode, but I don't think they're going to dedicate a whole episode to her. But I will say this, the Mascara has already been pretty much made a thing in Legends. So I wouldn't be surprised if they introduced her on Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know if they would, but we already know that connection exists. So maybe they would. Do you think they'd do an entire backdoor pilot for this character?
No, I think this is going to be, I think they're going to treat this show like Black Lightning. So it's separate. I think it's going to be on Earth Prime, because it's important to remember they've already name dropped Wonder Woman and Batwoman. Like, I think Kate name dropped her. So Wonder Woman exists. And it's important to remember Wonder Woman isn't essential to this character, because I think this character is going to be, I think, scroll down, because I don't know if this is the article that has the quote from the, is this the one that has the quote from the showrunner?
I don't
know. Okay. There was another thing. I saw it on Twitter, but the showrunner was saying that the show is about, instead of like a Amazon discovering that, you know, getting born into the real, or getting introduced to the human world, it's a human being introduced to the Amazonian world.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a reverse on Wonder Woman, which is so like similar, like Donna Troy and stuff like that. But we're going to see that develop through through the story,
and also like apparently that her father is like a river god, a Brazilian river god or something.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting take on a Wonder Woman or a Wonder Girl character, because I don't think she's going to be exactly what everybody's expecting her to be. So I think
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see like where it starts, and also where maybe like does she go to Themyscira by the end of season 1 or something like that? And like, or she get there like in the end of the pilot or something like that, and that's where she meets like maybe like Hippolyta or something,
Right.
or someone in the Amazon, or one of the Amazonians and stuff like that. I'm intrigued to see what they do with the show. It gets me excited, and also that suit down there, like the turquoise. I think that's her Wonder Girl suit. So that's what she will be like in the comics as Wonder Girl.
That looks great.
So she's getting, for those that don't know, she's getting Wonder Woman Future State, and then after that's done in February, so I guess in March or maybe end of February, she's getting her own Wonder Girl comic.
Yeah.
So that's, if you want to stay up to this show and get a taste, or I guess like a clue as to what they're going to do, that would be the comic to start reading.
So Double Creator with a $5 super chat and a Team Airrick member. Thank you so much, you guys. I think it's a little too soon to greenlight the Yara Flor show. Yes, her design is visually stunning, but her comics could suck for all we know. Any thoughts?
I'll give you a clue. Most comics suck now anyway.
That's true.
You're really not picking. There's like not that many great comics at the moment anyway.
Yeah. I will say this, so far, what I know of her character, I'm excited to see what it's going to be. Like, yes, the comic could suck, but I think if we're going into this with the keeping an open mind about what the character could be, I think she's got an interesting story. And I love the concept of a person in the real world getting the powers of Wonder Woman instead of being from the island and then coming into the real world like a fish out of water character.
Yeah, you don't want to copy the movie. You don't want to copy just the Wonder Woman story.
Yeah.
It's also important to remember, like, the person who's writing the comics isn't writing the show.
Right.
So even if the comics do suck, it literally means zero anyway.
Yeah. 3W Productions with a $5 super chat. He goes, it's because WG or Wonder Girl is on the CW and not HBO Max. For me, I don't care. More DC TV, the better for me. So we talked about this briefly before we went live. What is the foundation like? And I'm curious what the chat thinks. Why do you automatically assume that the HBO Max shows are going to be so much better? Like, we don't know what they're going to be like. So like, if we have a perception about, we don't know what this show is going to be like, you could apply that same logic to what an HBO Max DC TV show is going to be, because everything they're getting now was not produced for HBO Max. It was made by other production companies, completely separate. So I don't think there's any metric for me to go, well, this is going to be better on HBO Max simply because it's HBO Max. I don't know that, so that's how I feel about it. What are your thoughts on that?
HBO Max really to this point hasn't made a DC property. Like, people bring up Doom Patrol season 2, but that would have been all done pre HBO Max. They wouldn't have been involved with it,
right?
Like all the development stuff. Like obviously when it was shooting, there would have been some HBO Max stuff, but all the everything writing for that season, it didn't change budget. I'm pretty sure it had the same budget as season 1, which obviously is different. Usually you drop in season 2, but it's had the same budget as season 1. So HBO Max, and even when they won't have their first show was, well, I guess it's going to be Titans season 3, which even then they're carrying on from DC Universe, so it's not even their first original show, which will be, I guess, Green Lantern, because you can't count the Snyder Cut because that was filmed 4 years ago.
And I think the Green Lantern show will come out before the Gotham show will. So,
well, I don't know. It just depends on like how long that takes post production and everything like that. So this like whole thing where like, oh, HBO Max would have done a better job. How do you know? There's like literally nothing to prove it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hang my hat on that one, and we'll see when we get to that point whether or not it's better.
Well, yeah, Dara says more money obviously doesn't mean more quality. We've seen that quite a lot.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get to your super chat in a second, Potato Man Productions. Don't worry. But Cody here is responding to our comments about, I guess, HBO Max because they're shorter and better made. We don't.
How do you know?
We don't know that. We've not seen a DC show on HBO Max yet.
How do you know this is? How do you know this isn't 13 episodes?
Right. You could be totally right, or you could be totally wrong. This is all speculation right now. If you don't like CW shows and you think that this is going to be bad because it's on CW, fair enough. That's fine. But that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be better somewhere else. It could be crap somewhere else.
And also, as I've said this before, like a shorter season, especially examples that we've had, isn't ridiculous. Like I think the only real standout is probably Stargirl. I think they nailed every single episode that they had. But Titans, self-explanatory. You don't even really need to dive into that as to what's going on there. And Doom Patrol, while I love the characters, it has no story.
Yeah.
So it always feels like there's just emptiness when you get to the later parts of the season, because they've done most of the character stuff that season. Sometimes you might get one character get some stuff towards the end, but for the most part, that first 2/3 of the season deals with all the character stuff.
Yeah.
But because there's no actual plot, it's all character writing.
I mean, but here's the thing:
just
people could be absolutely right about the HBO Max thing, but I'm not willing to say that right off the bat. Like,
if you want to predict it, it's like, well, I feel that it would be better on HBO Max. But to say like, oh, like to have any sort of like definite, or just some, certainty about it, well, you can't, because there's no evidence to support it at all. There's zero evidence. Actually.
Also, Batwoman season 1 is on HBO Max. Technically, that is one of their shows because they're posting on their platform. And
so is Superman and Lois.
Show. Right. Those are CW shows.
And also, it's been known that Superman and Lois is getting more funding. I don't know if Batwoman season 2 is.
Right.
But it's been like said that like, what's it called? Superman and Lois is getting more funding. And you'd have to assume if Superman and Lois is, then so is Wonder Girl, because HBO Max gets it for streaming. They didn't have to pay like Netflix had to before for the rights. They just get it.
Double Crit continued here. I saw this earlier. My point was, if the comics suck and the characters won't get the appeal to make a show, movie, etc., other media appearances work. Is an assumption that maybe. Well, but here's the thing: is everything you do in media is a gamble. You do something with the hopes that it is going to be successful. Nobody goes into something and goes, "Oh, this isn't going to work. Here we go. Let's put all our money into like work." It has. You have to go into it with the assumption that you're going to make it successful. That's the only way that's going to work.
But it's important to remember, like, the lowest rating show on the CW weekly will get like at minimum 5 times the amount of viewers weekly than the biggest comic book that week will get sales.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you get 300,000 views a week, and the biggest comic book seller that week could be 60,000 copies.
Mm-hmm.
60,000 readers.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't really correlate that much, because the viewer base and just the market there is just so much smaller for the comic side and so much bigger for the TV size. Like, how many people that watch the Flash show would pick up a Flash comic weekly or even once a month?
Yeah.
You'd be lucky if it's 1 or 2%. That's
true. I will say this though. I've also seen a lot of people, and I've seen at least 2 videos with people saying this, and I just want to, it sounds so bad to me, so I just only want to mention this because I feel like it needs to be mentioned. I've seen people, they're like, oh, I think she looks beautiful and she looks great, but I don't want this girl power stuff or whatever. You cannot objectify a female character and say, oh, well, I don't want to see girl power, because that's what the kind of shows that are going to empower women are automatically going to feel like girl power shows. They just are. That's just the way it is, because the de facto lead for superhero shows has been male characters for so long that anytime a female character comes along, that's going to be the first thought that comes into people's mind is, oh, I don't mind like this show, but it needs to be this way or that way, because that's the only way it's going to work. We don't say that about the male superhero shows. It's always when it's a female superhero lead. It's such a weird thing to think about. Like, who cares about like how attractive she is on paper and how that's going to translate into the show? Like, that's just a weird thing for, like, I don't know. It's just strange to me that people are saying that. I've seen so many videos like that. Like, it's not cool to objectify and set a female lead at a different standard that you would do for a male show. It's just not cool. Like, you have to be optimistic for the same reasons, period. And I just get so frustrated when people do that and they do it on YouTube so flippantly. And I'm just like, oh, it sounds so awful. It's just bad. And I want to answer the super chat quickly before we talk briefly about the Painkiller show. Potato Man Productions with a $2 super chat. First ever super chat. Well, thank you. And for being a Team Airrick member. Can you do Arrowverse season rank? Well, I can't do it here because that's like, how many seasons do we have now? Like
20 or something.
That. I will absolutely like make a video or maybe a live stream like that, but there's no way for me to rank that right now. I will say this though, that I think there's enough that it could make a very interesting video. Maybe I could do like a full ranking of every Arrowverse show instead of a top 10. That would be interesting. Thank you for the super chat. We had another super chat here, I believe, from 3W Productions, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I only mentioned it because some of the reasons I saw, some don't want Wonder Girl because it's on the CW, which is why I said I don't mind. No, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of people that don't want it because it's on the CW. But if I can guarantee you, if it were a character that was highly loved, like a character that was somebody they really wanted to see, they would be thinking of it in a different way. It's also because of the character being so new and being so different that they're saying this, and it's really weird to me.
Well, it's also this. I can tell you this for certainty: the show wouldn't be happening,
right?
If it was up to HBO Max to pick it up or not. The reason it's happening is because of the CW. Like that, Greg Berlanti's picked it up and putting it on there. HBO Max probably just didn't want anything to do with it,
right?
And also, it's important to remember they have Titans over there, which has Donna Troy, who is Wonder Girl. Obviously, she's got to take on new mantle because I guess she's come back to life or whatever. Oh God, remember her death? Spoiler alert, but who cares? Titan season 2 anyway.
Yeah.
If you want to, actually, if you make a rank of worst comic book superhero deaths on TV, would she be number 1?
Close.
Her or Laurel Lance from Arrow season 4.
Yeah, they were both awful.
Yeah, that'd be the top 2. So anyway,
yeah.
Sidetrack. Anyway, it'd be weird.
Yeah,
I don't think they would pick up Wonder Girl unless they were going to influence into Titans, and that's a bit red zone. That might have been maybe a good thing to stick clear of.
Yeah. So and briefly, let's talk a little bit about the Painkiller series, because people are saying about the Wonder Girl show about it getting picked up. I think it's pretty much guaranteed it's going to get picked up. It just seems to me like they really, if you're going to be looking at the Arrowverse like 2 to 5 years from now, I think we're going to see shows like Wonder Girl. I think that's the kind of direction they're going in, like Stargirl, Wonder Girl, like these types of shows are what they really want to, like, you know, that they want to create for the network, because they want to do like a diverse, inclusive type of series, or type of network.
Well, I saw someone asking about Nubia as well, and why are they doing like Nubia or anything like that. I think she's going to be in the movies very, very soon. I think she'll be in Wonder Woman 3.
Yeah,
I think that's why you're not seeing pretty much anything, because she's pretty popular. So it'd be weird they didn't do anything with her, and I think it's because they're leaving her for the movies.
Yeah, look,
but then again, maybe she's
bad too right here. The Batman death in Crisis, that was awful too. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm pretty much done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was gonna say that I wanted to throw that up there while we were still in topic for that. But yeah, the Batman death in Crisis was pretty awful. So anyway, let's see. There's the chat is really fire tonight. Like there's some pretty heavy opinions in there about what's going on with the shows. Any thoughts on that? The edgy chat, Paigey? Any
well, when you have the edgy host named DJ at djairrick, you're gonna get an edgy chat.
So we got the Painkiller show from Black Lightning. That's the one that sort of we don't know for sure if it's gonna get picked up. We don't really know much else about it or whatever.
Like Wonder Girl's, like I'd say like 90% over the line, because it's actually they'll, because as I said, AT&T and WB will push this. They'd be pushing it. But Painkiller is the one that have to wait for the response. Like Painkiller is pretty much in the Green Arrow and the Canaries thing, but yeah, maybe more likely. I don't know.
I think so. Here's the thing: Painkiller was like my favorite character from the series for a long time, and I loved his story. My only concern is that his story is so closely connected to the Black Lightning series. I'm not really sure what we would be doing on a solo series with that character. So I want to see what the backdoor pilot is, because then that will help me gauge what they want to do with him. Because I do like the chemistry he has with the cast of Black Lightning. Because you look at like Sarah Lance, like I loved her on Arrow, but Legends has kind of turned her into a character that isn't what I really wanted from her. So I'm just hoping that with Painkiller, they sort of keep the style and the tone of Black Lightning when they do that show. I think they will, because I know they're going to be heavily involved in it, but that's my only real concern about Painkiller. So any other thoughts on that?
No, not really.
I didn't know if you wanted to add on or if you felt kind of the way I did. So
no, I'm just intrigued to see. I think the backdoor pilot's got to be the selling point, because all you've got is that pitch, that like sort of like log line, I think they call it. And sort of sums up half of it summing up his stuff on Black Lightning, and then potentially where it almost seems like it's gonna be like a Jekyll and Hyde sort of thing, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where they were going with this.
It's like Mirakuru-esque.
Yeah,
maybe like a Mirakuru sort of
like
thing.
Like if Roy was going to get a series, this is kind of what it would be.
It's almost it's similar to that. Yeah. Actually,
the equivalent of Painkiller for Arrow would have been like a Roy spinoff. I mean,
like Lazarus Pit, sort of like getting angry and everything like that.
One of the questions up here I saw was, what Earth do we think that Wonder Girl is going to be on? And I'm pretty confident it's going to be Earth Prime, right? I mean, that's what we're thinking.
It'll be on an Earth that has people on it, so I think it's probably Earth Prime mainly, and I'd say that because they just mentioned Wonder Woman, and they can really set the show anywhere. I'm actually incredibly intrigued to see where they are going to set this show and where they'd film it, because they're not going to film it in Vancouver. I'd be very surprised if they made Wonder Girl set in Vancouver. I think they might try somewhere else, but I just don't know exactly where they would do it, because the CW only has like 3 main filming bases. Like really they film like Vancouver, Atlanta, and LA. But I know they film in that new the Walker Texas Ranger show, the reboot in Texas, which obviously makes sense. So I'm intrigued to see where they would film Wonder Girl, because they'd have to do some like tropical stuff.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Everything like that.
It would be really hard to film a
series
series with a tropical environment in Vancouver, I think.
Oh, hello? Inhumans location department. Are you coming? No, that would cost way too.
You're talking about Hawaii, so they could
go to Hawaii.
I actually heard that was one of the most expensive places to film. So that's
it would have been ridiculous, because they filmed in like the it would have been ridiculous.
Yeah. So any other last minute questions or comments from you guys before we wrap everything up here? Seems like the chat is pretty divided on this Wonder Girl series and the direction of the CW right now. I honestly don't know what the big surprise is. I mean, the network has always been diverse and it's been inclusive in the way it's been doing its shows. So I don't really understand what the big situation is here, unless you want to see a different version of Wonder Girl, which if that's the case, you got Titans, even though it may not be the best one. That's where they're doing her story at. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting. So any other thoughts before we jump into our dad jokes for the evening? Anything else you want to add
to the stream?
Yeah, any other thoughts about what we talked about tonight at all?
Don't be a stan.
Okay, there we go. All right, do you want to go first? I got 2. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Do I want to go first?
Because you always like to go last. You might have a third one, though.
I have a third one now, do I?
Do you? No, sometimes you do.
Sometimes I do.
So I will kick it off then. We'll do 2 here. Are you ready for this? This might be a little bit too dad jokish for the chat. It might be a bit much.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Are you ready? Most people are shocked when they find out how bad of an electrician I am. Did you get that one? Dad joke, bad joke. All right. There, dad joke, bad joke. Let me know in the chat. That's Paige's turn. Go ahead.
What did prisoners use to call each other?
I don't know. What?
Cell phones.
Oh.
That's an epic meme.
Yeah, that's pretty epic there. Is that a dad joke or a bad joke, guys? Let us know in the chat. That one was I should have figured that one out. I wasn't even thinking about that. Wasn't even thinking about that one. All right. What do sea monsters eat for lunch?
Sea crackers.
Fish and ships.
Ships,
ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, fish and ships. That's the joke. That's the joke. Dad joke or bad joke? Dad joke or bad joke? You decide. All right, you go for it.
What do you call a deer with no eyes?
A deer with no eyes? I don't know. What do you call a deer with no eyes?
No idea.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That was awful. I'm going to call that out. That was a bad joke. That wasn't a dad joke. That was a bad joke. That was bad. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, for the next couple weeks, the after party will be at 8 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. And if you don't know what that is, it is New York time. So look up New York time.
New York.
That's it. Thank you so much, Paigey, for joining me. Canada Graphs, you need to be here next week.